Have you ever wondered why you're always exhausted, yet never truly living? You wake up not by choice but by alarm. You rush through breakfast like it's a race against irrelevance. And then, like a ghost summoned by duty, you show up, on time, on script, on edge. Not because you love what you do, but because rent is due. This isn't just about work. This is about time, the only thing you truly own. And yet, every day, you hand it over, piece by piece, hour by hour. To people you'll never meet, for dreams you'll never live. The irony is brutal. The more productive you become, the less human you feel. Efficiency becomes your prison. Your worth is calculated not by who you are, but by how much you can endure. You sell your time to survive. But what you don't realize is, they're not just buying your labor. They're buying your silence, your stillness, your slow surrender. There's a moment somewhere between lunch breaks and screen fatigue when you ask yourself, is this it? And the answer never really comes. This is not freedom. It is consent wrapped in necessity. It is survival packaged as opportunity. And deep down, maybe you already know. What does it take to keep millions of people quiet? Not with violence, not with cages, but with something far more effective: dependence. You see, capitalism doesn't need to beat you into submission. It just needs to convince you that there's no alternative. That if you stop, you fall. If you speak, you lose. If you question, you disappear. So you learn to obey. Smiling at managers who don't know your name. Pretending spreadsheets are accomplishments. Forcing gratitude for the crumbs you get, while your soul quietly rots beneath the fluorescent lights. The paycheck becomes your leash. The health insurance your handcuffs, the pension plan your golden cage. And slowly, the system teaches you a brutal lesson. Loyalty isn't rewarded, it's expected. But if you dare to want more, dignity, autonomy, meaning, you're labeled as difficult, disruptive, ungrateful. So you keep your head down, you nod in meetings, you suppress the scream inside you. Because deep down you've been trained to believe survival means silence. But what if that silence isn't yours? What if it was planted in you by a system that profits from your obedience? You never signed it. There was no paper, no ink. But the contract is real and you're living it every single day. The moment you're born, the terms are whispered to you. You must earn your place. Not because you're lazy, not because you're incapable, but because the world has been rigged to make you prove your worth to those who profit from your struggle. School doesn't teach you to think. It trains you to obey. Raise your hand. Follow the rules. Color inside the lines. Not because it's right, but because it's safe. And when you enter the workforce, that invisible contract tightens. You give your time, your energy, your youth. And in return, you get just enough to survive. Not enough to rest. Not enough to rise. Just enough to keep coming back. This is the illusion of choice. You think you chose your job, but did you really have a choice when bills were screaming louder than your dreams? The invisible contract doesn't end at 5 p.m. It follows you home. It follows you into your thoughts, your sleep, your identity, until the line between who you are and what you do disappears. And the cruelest part? You start blaming yourself for not being happy, for feeling lost, for wondering if something's wrong with you, when everything wrong is outside you. But the system doesn't want you to see that, because if you saw the contract, you might just tear it apart. Somewhere between your ambition and your exhaustion, there's a place where dreams go to die quietly. It looks like a modern office, clean desks, neutral walls, free coffee. But look closer, and you'll see the truth. This is a factory, not of products, but of people. Here, humans are repurposed into functions. Your creativity becomes a task, your curiosity becomes a distraction, your empathy, a liability. You are not encouraged to think. You are encouraged to perform, smile, type, deliver, repeat. And if you break, there's always someone else waiting to replace you. This is not by accident. The system was designed this way, to make you believe that your value is your productivity, to reward you just enough to keep you silent, to turn your potential into someone else's profit. And so a dreamer enters the factory, and a shell walks out every day, all across the world, because the factory feeds on hope. It consumes vision, passion, purpose, and excretes profit for someone else. And the saddest part? You once believed this was the path to freedom, but now you know better. Because deep inside, the dream didn't die. It was buried alive, beneath deadlines, performance reviews, and fear. You work harder, you earn more, and yet, it never feels like enough. So you buy things, a new phone, a bigger screen, the latest style, not because you need them, but because you need something to feel real. But here's the paradox. The more things you buy, the more they own you. That car, it's not just transportation, it's debt, maintenance, insurance. That lifestyle, it's not just comfort, it's stress, comparison, pressure. You've been taught to believe that consumption is liberation, that the ability to choose between brands is freedom. But in reality, your desires have been engineered by algorithms, by marketing, by a system that sells identity in monthly payments. And all the while, something inside you whispers, "This doesn't make me whole." But you silence it, because capitalism has made silence a virtue. You don't talk about your emptiness. You post a filtered version of joy. Because in a world obsessed with appearance, admitting pain feels like failure. So we worship objects. We chase the shine. And in the process, we become the product. This is not freedom. This is the commodification of the soul. Karl Marx wrote, "The fetishism of the commodity conceals the social character of labor." And now more than ever, we no longer see the hands that made what we consume, because we're too busy trying to prove our worth through what we own. You are free. Free to choose your job. Free to vote. Free to speak, so long as no one's listening. That's the promise, right? Freedom, the sacred word of the capitalist world. But what if that freedom is an illusion, crafted not to liberate you, but to pacify you? You can choose between brands, but you can't choose to live without money. You can scroll endlessly on your phone, but you can't scroll past your rent. You can say whatever you want online, but try refusing the terms of your employment. And watch how quickly your freedom dissolves. This is not freedom, this is a stage. And you are cast as the free individual reciting lines you never wrote. Because behind the curtain, there are rules. Rules that you didn't create. Rules that protect wealth, not people. Rules that keep the poor busy and the rich invisible. You're told to believe in merit, that if you just work hard enough, you'll rise. But every statistic says otherwise. Upward mobility is a fantasy, a myth fed to the working class to keep them dreaming instead of rising. As Marx said, the ideas of the ruling class are in every epoch the ruling ideas. And the ruling idea of our time is simple. You are free, so long as you don't question who built the cage. They told you that success was up to you. That if you worked hard enough, stayed late enough, believed deep enough, you could have it all. But what they didn't tell you is that the ladder they showed you was missing half its rungs. The truth? Some are born at the bottom, holding debt before they even speak. Others are born at the top, inheriting more than most will ever earn. And yet both are told the same lie. It's a fair race. This is the myth of meritocracy, a beautiful story that keeps the machine running. Because if you believe success is about effort, you'll blame yourself when you fail. You won't question the system. You'll question your worth. So the game continues. The rich get richer. The poor get blamed. And society pretends that outcome equals effort. But effort is not the currency of capitalism. Capital is. And capital doesn't reward the hardest workers. It rewards those closest to power, to land, to inheritance, to networks built on centuries of exploitation. Marx understood this. Accumulation of wealth at one pole is, at the same time, accumulation of misery at the opposite pole. So when you see someone struggling, don't ask why they didn't climb. Ask why the system built mountains for some and holes for others. This isn't about envy, it's about justice. Every night you scroll, not because you're curious, but because you're numb. Endless videos, filtered smiles, news cycles designed to distract, not inform, entertainment designed to pacify, not awaken. You think you're choosing what to watch, but what if the screen is choosing you? What if every suggested video, every ad, every click is a thread pulling you deeper into a carefully constructed illusion? A world where nothing is truly random and everything is for sale. Capitalism doesn't just want your labor anymore. It wants your attention, because your attention is profitable and your confusion is strategic. They keep you scrolling so you won't start questioning. They give you spectacles so you won't see your own chains. And while you're being entertained, decisions are made behind closed doors. Policies, deals, exploitations. The real world fades behind the glow of your phone. Marx never saw an iPhone, but he saw this coming. The ruling ideas are nothing more than the ideal expression of the dominant material relationships. You're not just being entertained, you're being conditioned to consume, to obey, to never look too deep. Because if you did, if you really looked, you might start to see the truth, and that truth then could break the whole spell. You're tired, but not the kind of tired that sleep can fix. It's something deeper, a quiet ache, a heavy silence that follows you, through commutes, through meetings, through moments that should feel like life, but don't. And when you try to explain it, no one understands, because the wound isn't visible. It doesn't bleed, it doesn't bruise, but it's real. This is alienation, the slow erosion of meaning. When your life becomes a series of transactions and your soul gets lost in the receipts, you don't hate your job, you hate what it's done to you. You hate that your joy now feels like a luxury, that rest feels like guilt, that silence feels like failure. You've become a stranger to your own desires. You used to dream. Now you plan, budget, endure. This isn't depression, it's adaptation. You've adjusted to a world that demands your productivity, but ignores your pain. Marx saw it. The worker feels himself only when he is not working, and when he is working, he does not feel himself. And now, even in your free time, you don't feel free. Because your mind is still calculating how to survive one more month. This is not weakness. It's a system working exactly as designed, to drain you silently while calling it success. There's a moment. It doesn't happen loudly. It happens in the quiet, when you realize you've given everything and received emptiness in return. You sit at your desk, you stare at your inbox, and suddenly something cracks. Not because you're weak, but because you're finally awake. You begin to ask the forbidden questions. Why do I hate Mondays? Why does my life feel like a countdown? Why do I know more about celebrity gossip than the conditions of the workers who made my clothes? And slowly, the illusion dissolves. You see the machine for what it is, a system that profits from your confusion, that rewards your silence, that thrives on your disconnection from others, from meaning, from yourself. But now, you've named it. Alienation, exploitation, control dressed as freedom. The veil lifts, and for the first time you don't just want rest, you want liberation. You want to reclaim your time, reclaim your voice, reclaim your life from a system that was never designed for your wholeness. As Karl Marx wrote, philosophers have only interpreted the world in various ways. The point, however, is to change it. This isn't the end, it's the beginning of awareness, of refusal, of something radically human. Because once you see the cage, you cannot unsee it. And the silence they bought from you, you're taking it back. Maybe you've felt this too. The weight that doesn't have a name. The quiet panic behind your eyes. The numbness that follows every achievement like a shadow. Maybe you've wondered why success feels hollow. Why the promises never match the reality. Why you feel like you're constantly surviving, but never really living. The truth is hard, but it's also liberating. The system is not broken. It was built this way, to keep you tired, to keep you silent, to keep you blaming yourself for wounds it created. But now that you see it, what will you do with this clarity? Will you bury it or share it? Will you go back to sleep or begin to awaken others? You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to start asking the right questions. If this video spoke to something inside you, consider supporting this channel through Super Thanks. It helps us keep creating content that breaks the silence. Leave a comment below. Tell us what this system has taken from you and what you're ready to reclaim. Subscribe for the next chapter in this journey toward truth, because this is only the beginning, and together we will no longer be silent.